Welcome back to In the Street Trades. We're doing a quick live look at Hexo core stock today. Given that the market is a little bit red across the, well, started off red, but some things are making moves. I wanted to kind of do a little live stream, talk about Hexo. It's the one stock I feel doesn't get the love that it deserves. So, as you've probably seen in some of my other videos, I have become quite a big fan of it, and I think this week can be a pretty important week for it. So that's kind of why I wanted to come live and just talk about it a little bit. I got the chart pulled up here, but I just want to do a couple things first, because currently they're sitting up about 13 cents, so just a couple percentage points, but up is up, which is ultimately what's important, given that prior to this, over the past two and a half months, it's had somewhat of a consolidation period with a little bit of downtrend, so it's nice to see that it's moving in the right direction now. And this week, what makes it more interesting and potentially more important is I want to say it's the 13th, the virtual meeting for the Zenabis acquisition vote is to happen. So I think that might be one of the catalysts of why we're seeing this start to trend in a more positive direction. Certainly there have been other things going on within the sector that have kind of made things a bit wonky lately. So all right, let me just do a couple things here and then we'll look a little bit more into this. Let's see. All right. Okay, so they announced this acquisition a couple months ago, which is it's definitely a positive thing for Hexo, given that they increased their manufacturing 114,000 kilograms, I believe it is, and it gives them access and expansion into the global market, which is huge. But we also have a couple other people within the sector that have like earnings reports this week. I believe Sundial is tomorrow, maybe post-market. And what you genuinely find is within the sector, news usually sways all of the stocks. However, this past week or so, Hexo's kind of been operating on its own as far as the trends and what it's been doing and the way it's been moving. So it's pretty exciting to see. Let me try to pull up a couple things here. Let's see. Tell you what, we are going to pull up a few charts here within the sector. So let's go ahead and pull up Tilray. We'll pull up Sundial, and we'll pull up Aurora. How about that? So the reason I wanted to do this with the four pieces here is it gives you a better idea across the board the strength within Hexo recently. So like I said, they've been climbing in the right direction. So what was it, about a month ago, this sucker was in the $5 to $6 range, and it's always been kind of a roller coaster. But what's nice to see, particularly, is right here, it has crossed the VWAP. So this is in a bullish uptrend and heading in the right direction. Nothing earth-shattering as far as volume and or major increases, but unlike some of the others within the sector, it's definitely heading in the right direction, which is very nice to see. Let's see. Oop. Hexo core. So the vote itself is let's pull this up. Let me learn how to spell. How about that, guys? Merger vote. Let's see. All right, let's pull up this news article here, which is stand by. Still kind of getting my bearings straight on all this stuff. So let's see. Oop, that is not the right one. Anyway, I'm looking at an article right here. Some of the key takeaways investors need to know for ahead of the Hexo core acquisition of Zenabis. So we'll read through a little bit of this. So it says, although the merger of Alfrea and Tilray has been the most highly talked about topic in the cannabis industry, Hexo Core's acquisition of Zenabis Global has flown under the radar. For clear reasons, the deal between Alfrea and Tilray is more significant than Hexo's acquisition, but we believe that our readers need to understand why leading proxy advisors, institutional shareholders, and Glass Lewis recommend the Zenabis shareholders vote in favor of the deal. I think that's it's biased for the way you say it. I mean, I think this is actually a pretty significant deal myself, just in regards to the idea of what it gives them access to. Is it the biggest merger? Probably not. But it helps them expand in the type of expansion that they're trying to do. So like, whereas a lot of the other companies are just, they'll acquire other cannabis companies, and it really is focusing on the retail aspect and foothold of the industry. Hexo's a little bit different. Hexo's always been more of a using their brand to power other companies through partnerships. So Troy McDonald said in his AMA that he had that someone had asked him, they're like, why doesn't Hexo try to excuse me, start up their own CPG packaging or something like that instead of doing the partnerships? And the example was set is like, it's pretty good case in point, which is, look, we can get into these things now. Like, we could do startups, but by the time we even get to where we would need to be, we would get crushed by these other competitors because they're already established within it. So like, what they want to do as a company is create the partnership so they can give their experience and their product, which is a really high tier product, to power whatever offerings that particular sector has, whether it was Molson Coors with the Trush a joint venture. So Molson obviously is a staple in the drink industry. So instead of trying to beat them, you join them. You provide what you're becoming a staple in. Use that to power what they're doing and have a partnership. Then you move on to non-beverage CPGs, which they're in negotiation with currently with a number of different companies, Fortune 100 companies. Nothing's come out on it yet, but if they were to try to start up and say, hey, we're gonna start making our own gummies and candy bars, and we're going to be the next big thing. By the time they even establish it with capital alone, they'd get drowned out, you know. So it's good to see that they've taken this approach, and because of it, their growth has been a little bit more consistent and less bumpy as of recent. And I think it shows in the charts, you know. And like I said, whereas Tilray and Alfrea could be bigger in the viewing of it, it may not be as impactful as like this article is saying. So it says it has fairly clear scale and synergy benefits, which is something I just touched on a little bit. The combined company will have a stronger balance sheet when compared to Zenabis as a standalone business, which is very true. The deal is expected to provide enhanced flexibility as it relates to managing its capital structure and finances. The enhanced operating leverage and scale that is provided from Hexo is expected to offer more upside potential to Zenabis. And the transaction is consistent with Zenabis' established effort to improve its balance sheet, which whoever wrote this article is kind of missing the point, to tell you the truth. So what this is really doing is it's giving a access. So with that access, Hexo, as it's beginning its expansion into the U.S., it's beginning its expansion on the global market, whereas they've gotten contracts in Israel and Greece and so forth. Plus, you partner that with the you partner that with the certification they got for their medical cultivation. This is huge stuff, and I think this week in particular is going to showcase that. So not a whole lot of movement within the sector today. So Tilray's down about 5%. Sundial's up. It's just been bleeding for months now, but like I said, they have their earnings tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see, because they as well mentioned that they were going to acquire let's see, let's look up Sundial right here. So Sundial is in a death spiral, but could it finally be ending? So Inner Spirit Holdings. Now, once they announced that, the stock continued to go down, which usually is a pretty bad indicator of like what people believe behind it. So unless they come out with some pretty shattering earnings announcements, which there's no indicator that that's going to happen. I don't foresee that continuing much more in the uptrend direction. And then Aurora's down about 3.5%. So, like I said, you look at the sector itself, and everybody's down except for Captain Hexo, which is it's pretty exciting to see. Now, I don't know if many of you guys follow the short interest on Hexo, but these past couple weeks and month or so has been super interesting. So as it stands right now, there's about an average borrow fee rate of around 150%, which means a lot of hedge funds and so forth have been shorting this stock. There's a little bit more available now. It's kind of pulled back in the past week, but it got as above 300% last week. And as it was, you saw these numbers getting pushed and pushed down. Finally, it started breaking and trending in the right, in the positive direction. It's kind of backed off a little bit, but still extraordinarily high. And with where they've been trending currently, I don't know if it's the safest play, especially since they're above the VWAP now. Now let's pull this bad boy up on the big screen here, and we're going to pull back a little bit. So this gives us a larger view, so a few months back. And obviously, aside from this crazy peak that happened here in February, which was more of just kind of a pump and dump run up, because kind of got locked into the whole Reddit rally discussions and so forth. But because of that, it's just been a downward trajectory. But right here on 420, ironically enough, you see it hit its bottom, which I found absolutely hysterical. And since then, this slow climb, and it has been consistent. So it's going to be interesting to see where they take it from here. Welcome anybody who's coming in the room. I appreciate you stopping by. This is actually probably is my first stream, but the channel itself has quite a few videos on Hexo, if that's your thing. We also do deep dives into other securities. There's like microvision. There's smaller cap stocks like Waiter Holding, stuff like that. But what I like to try to do is a couple times a week do deep dive research. So people who are interested in stocks don't necessarily have to do it themselves, but they can click on that and check it out, because I do go pretty in depth with it. So but I do appreciate you guys stopping in. Now with Hexo, here, hold on, let me back out of this for a second. Right. So we all saw that on like Hexo's last earning report. They finally made some pretty big moves, which is kind of the polar opposite of what you've seen across the sector. Whereas they had their seventh straight earnings report where they had moved in the positive direction and finally had positive EBITDA, and it is become like the first pot stock to move towards profitability, unlike any other. And again, it's because of their structure, in my belief. So all right. So within the chart, though, I don't know if I'm necessarily expecting anything crazy to happen within today, but it's going to be interesting to see how it moves once Sundial announces theirs. Believe me, I'm not insinuating that the two are connected at all, but the sector itself definitely makes those moves together. So once the Zenabis vote happens on the 13th, we could foresee that helping bolster up and move this thing even farther up. And what that could lead to is, since they did a few weeks back propose the $1.2 billion base shelf prospectus, which is ultimately a fundraising effort to open up capital and liquidity to do further things. So you look at Zenabis, it was a all share transaction. However, once they do acquire Zenabis and that's all complete, Zenabis does have some debt on their balance sheet, which Trent McDonald said they're going to want to take care of either immediately or soon thereafter. So that sort of liquidity will help them erase that off the balance sheet to make it a stronger move for Hexo moving forward. Additionally, like I spoke of with like Tilray and Alfrea, and you talk about Sundial and Inner Spirit, what you see is a lot of acquisitions, because this is the time where it's make or break for these cannabis companies within the next 12 to 18 months, because they can't sustain nonprofit and keep their doors open. So there's a lot of buying opportunity within the sector of the more financially secure and profitable companies such as Hexo. So if you put that $1.2 billion base shelf prospectus on the table, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to have the flexibility and freedom to make these strategic acquisitions when they're available and when they're opportune, and truthfully when they're necessary, not only to help benefit your Hexo structure and access and footholding, particularly since they are moving into the U.S. into the global market, but it also eliminates your competition from taking those same things. So if you're a step ahead, you're able to execute and strike while the iron's hot, which is really nice. So acquisitions, paying down debt. It also is going to help with the efforts of the expansion, so into the U.S. markets. As we've seen over the past few months, quite a few states have authorized legal, both medical and recreational. Particularly New York was probably the biggest one to hear about a few weeks back. But Louisiana, I believe, just voted for medicinal down there. So it's slowly expanding, but with that expansion, Hexo has to position itself better to be able to make these moves quicker and more efficiently. So they assigned a general manager for the U.S. operations, which is a big move. Now, when you're doing that and you have this startup in these areas, you need capital to do that as well. And while you could wait around and then do additional share offerings and stuff like that, like we've seen the dilution for the couple years before, instead of doing that, get ahead of it and then make the move. So it's pretty exciting to see. And I guess I can't reaffirm more the importance of highlighting their trend as compared to the market, because I've said it multiple times in this, but when the sector itself usually moves in the same direction. It moves with one another, but the fact that Hexo has been breaking out beyond it and not following with those trends, particularly recently, is exciting. Now, let me try to pull up a couple more things here. I think one of the other things that's really exciting is, so you have obviously it's been moving in this uptrend lately, and you look at some of the other companies on the within the sector that are deemed the bigger boy, or the bigger ones on the block. So your Tilrays, your ACBs, and your Canopies. Let me pull these guys up real quick. Yellow. Okay, so we'll do Canopy, even though look how similar these charts are. That is absolutely staggering. Look at this. Almost trying to develop their own little cup and handles, and then look at Hexo. If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. And here's something that's even more impressive is, okay, so it's making their acquisitions, it's making their expansion, it's finally having its stock growth in the right direction, in opposition to what the sector itself has been doing, right? All of that, and the company's current. Let me pull it up here. And when I say the company, I'm speaking of Hexo, of course. Let's see. As of today, its market cap is $916 billion, or million. That'd be awesome if it was 916 billion. Could you imagine? You look at your portfolio and be like, all right, I'm done watching this guy. We're just going to go buy an island or something somewhere. So 916 million. Whereas you look at your Tilrays, your Canopies, and so forth, and let's try to pull this down a little bit. Okay, so there we go. Market cap. Market cap for Canopy Growth is currently 9.2 billion, and they're running a $24.50 stock price. So over 10 times the market cap of Hexo. Tilray market cap is 6.87 billion, so considerably higher. And then ACB, let's talk about Aurora, 1.21. So just slightly higher, but their price is, I guess, a lot closer to what like Hexo's would be right now. But I believe Hexo is far better suited. So imagine this. Let's give it a little theoretical here, okay? Imagine in the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Hexo comes out and they announce that, after the Zenabis merger or vote, they announced that they finally have a partnership with a non-beverage CPG company. Now, in Trent McDonald's AMA that he had mentioned that they were in talks with, I believe, 4 Fortune 100 company CPG, non-beverage CPG companies. Now, obviously they can't say which ones, but like, think about that. So you think about your Mondelez or your Mars Candy or whatever, some of these companies, like, if you come out with an announcement like that, what sort of earth-shattering impact that'll have on this stock, especially since A, it's in an uptrend, B, it's been shaking off short selling like crazy lately, and C, it's probably the healthiest of the bunch. So it's pretty big stuff. Right. Again, thanks anybody who joined this. Again, very first stream. I plan on doing more of these, and if you guys have questions or anything, I'd love to see you throw them in the chat or whatever. I've really enjoyed doing this, and also if you have a chance to check out the channel, I do appreciate it. I appreciate your time. So Hexo is currently up 14 cents today. Again, anything in the positive is good by me. So let's pardon moi. Cannabis stocks, gainers and losers. See, it's all pretty much old news right here. That was another thing that I found in one of the interviews that Trent had given, the CFO of Hexo. That was very interesting. Was he had mentioned that one of the biggest challenges within the industry for most companies is the write-off of the excess. So like the plant itself is, the bud itself is the money area, but then they had so much write-off because of the waste of the rest of it. But they have talked about their increase in productivity of using those that supply that was deemed unusable for other purposes within the organization, and they've outtrended every other company doing that. So that's super exciting to see too. All right. Welcome. All right, well, not too much going on right now. I just wanted to pop in, do a quick little live video, discuss what I saw, really highlight the idea of the different trend in a sector that normally trends together, and how Hexo is showing itself to be more of a powerhouse. I'll probably have quite a few more of these, and I appreciate anybody who was watching here. please check out the other videos within the channel in the street trades, and hope to see you next time. So thanks again.